It says, I, a 21-year-old male, have been dating my now ex-girlfriend, a 20-year-old female, for 6 months. We met at the university. She's from another country and came here to study. So during the academic year, I did not have the opportunity to meet her parents. I don't think it's relevant, but we are both from Europe. During the summer vacations, she and her parents invited me to stay with them for a while. Well, that's nice of them. My girlfriend is very humble, so she never talked about her family money. But I figured out pretty quickly that her parents were quite wealthy, certainly much wealthier than my family. My father left my mother for another woman when I was 6 years old. They separated, and since then my mother raised me by herself. Okay, so you're going to see the direction this is going to go with him having resentment towards cheaters and all that. My father ignored me for years. When I was a teenager, he suddenly reminded himself of my existence. But I want nothing to do with him, and my mom never remarried. I don't blame this guy. I'd be like, F you, Dad. Although higher education here is mostly free, sending me to study in a big city was a major financial burden for her. I had a part-time job from the beginning of my studies, but still there were times when it was difficult for me to make ends meet. Well, good for him for getting a job, trying to help out in any way. My girlfriend always wanted to help me in such situations, but I was too proud to accept her help. She must have told her parents about it because they paid for my plane tickets and assured me that I didn't have to worry about any expenses during the trip. Okay, that is very generous to them. Regardless if the money is nothing to them, still is generous, paying for the flight, expenses. Okay. So I went on the plane and my girl picked me up at the airport and took me to her parents' house. They both seemed very nice and considerate. They gave us a lot of privacy, but offered to show me around the city one day if my girlfriend and I wanted to do so. I said I'd be happy to, and after a few days later, we spent the whole day with my girl's parents, sightseeing, going to museums, etc. We had a good time. So far, so good. The next day, my girlfriend's parents suggested that if we wanted, we could go to dinner with them and a couple of their friends. Let us call them John and Kate, which we agreed to. John and Kate were both in their 50s. They were well-mannered and interesting people, and I actually got along pretty well with them, since they both work in fields in which I'm interested in, publishing and media. But when we got home, my girlfriend's mom said to my girlfriend's dad something about John going somewhere with his wife. I was confused and said, "What do you mean? Kate is not his wife?" They looked at each other and explained that John and Kate have been lovers for almost 20 years, and that John has a wife with whom he lives with, and adult children, but spends a few days a week with Kate. This guy's been having an affair. He's been cheating on his wife for like 20 years. Number one, I can't believe his wife doesn't know at this point, 20 years. But two, they all know this, and they're okay with this. Yeah, you can see this guy has an issue with this, and why. They said it as if it was the most normal thing in the world. My girlfriend's mom even added that John wanted to leave his wife for Kate for years, but Kate talked him out of it, and she never wanted a husband because she preferred to live alone and couldn't imagine herself as a wife and mother. More like Kate probably has another guy, or a couple other guys here. I was shocked, but also furious. I utterly hate cheaters and people who enable cheating. My father's infidelity completely ruined my mother and our family. I was disgusted that I'm staying at the house of people who are good friends with the cheater and his mistress and treat it like it's something normal and natural. I asked if John's wife knew about Kate. My girlfriend's mom said they had no idea. They never talked to his wife. They met John and Kate as a couple and always spent time with the two of them. So, okay. Yeah, I got a problem with this too. They've known these people for a long time, and they seem like they're nice to them and all. But at the end of the day, they know that they're cheaters. They know that this John guy is cheating on his wife back home for Lord knows how long. And this Kate chick has no problem being with a married man. Okay, and this family, they have no problem with that. What does that say about them? That's great. They're very nice to this guy, and that should be appreciated. But still, this ain't someone that I want to have as future in-laws potentially one day, because they don't think cheating is a big deal. My girlfriend's dad said John's wife most likely figured it out because it's hard to hide an affair for that long. Disgusted, I exclaimed that they are terrible people, as terrible as their cheating friends. My girlfriend's parents were very surprised, but tried to stay calm. They said some BS about how love is a complicated matter, and there is no reason to interfere in the private lives of others because we never know the whole story. I said I wanted nothing to do with them and left the room. I don't blame this guy for not liking what's going on here. I don't blame it all, given his background here. And I don't blame it all for not, like, approving of the girlfriend's parents. Such a no big deal attitude towards this, because he doesn't want to be with someone like this. But he's throwing a temper tantrum, like a spoiled child. They've been very nice to him and giving and all that. So, anyhow, my girlfriend ran after me. She was angry that I insulted her parents, while they had been nothing but kind to me for the last couple of days. I said she shouldn't defend them and asked if it bothered her that her parents are friends of people who are in an extramarital affair. She said John and Kate are friends of her parents, not her friends, though it's not her place to interfere. I told her that she is the same as her parents, and that she was an ethical person, she should convince them to break contact with John and Kate and reveal the affair to John's wife, and if they are unwilling to do so, she should break contact with her parents herself. Really? Do you think she's going to break contact with her mom and dad? Not to mention mom and dad who have money for a boyfriend of 6 months? I don't think that's going to happen, dude. I went no contact with my father when he turned out to be an a-hole. It's not that hard. Family is not everything. She started crying and said that I'm crazy to expect that of her and that she loves her parents. She said that my father had abandoned me, so it was understandable that I had broken contact with him, but that her parents have always been loving and supportive of her, and that it would be cruel to break contact with them because of some abstract moral high ground. Abstract moral high ground. Well, that's the thing. I don't blame this guy again for being disgusted by this and not wanting to be with them, be with her, and obviously a relationship with her parents. It seemed to me that I did the right thing and acted in accordance with my principles. I can't imagine a relationship with someone who accepts cheating, even as a bystander, and with someone whose parents have no moral values. However, our mutual friends believe that I acted cruelly, that I offended the girlfriend's parents when I was their guest, and that I should apologize. I don't think that I should. I was their guest only because they are lucky to have more money than I do. It doesn't mean anything. Lucky to have more money. Maybe they made it on their own, jackass. God's sakes. Am I the a-hole? Now he does a little update here, then I'm going to respond to what I think. He says, update, I frankly do not expect such a response. Now I understand that I did not treat my ex fairly, and I might have been the a-hole. I was driven by anger and felt betrayed that she sided with her parents and not me, even though she knows how traumatized I was by my father's affair. I don't think we were compatible, but I will apologize to her and explain my behavior. She deserves closure. I just want to explain a few things in my defense, even though I know that there are some indefensible things in my behavior. Number one, my ex and her parents are not from the same exotic foreign country, different culture. We are both from Western Europe. Adultery is not considered normal here. 2, the girlfriend's parents explicitly call Kate a mistress and John and Kate's relationship an affair. So I really don't think it's polyamory or an open marriage. They said the wife probably knows because it's hard to hide an affair for 20 years, but I'm not sure that's the case. From what I understand, John lives out of town and often spends several days in town because of his job, so he can justify his absence with work stuff. And 3, they also said that he wanted to leave his wife for Kate. It's obvious that his wife is put in the lower position here, even though she is the mother of his kids. This seems cruel and disrespectful to me. Even if the wife knows and accepts the affair, it's probably only because of financial dependence or out of concern for the family, not because she really feels okay about it. Well, anyhow, so obviously then he realized he went too far. Do I think he's an a-hole? I don't blame him at all for not wanting to be with this girl anymore. And also because of her parents, because the parents think that the affair is no big deal, and you don't want to be with a girl whose parents don't think that's a big deal, because if she ever cheats and they know about it, they ain't going to tell you. And also, it seems like she doesn't think it's that big of a deal too. She loves her parents, but she doesn't think this is a whole big deal here, or maybe she hasn't really thought it through. But if he doesn't want to be with her, he doesn't want to be with her. They're not compatible in his eyes, and I got no problem with that. I do have a problem how he behaved around the parents, because even though he can disagree with how their viewpoints on things and their attitude towards the whole thing, still, they were nothing but nice to him. They paid for his flight to come out to their country, covered all expenses, showed him a good time, was nice to him, all that. So, they didn't deserve him blowing up like a fucking spoiled brat. He could have just simply not, cordially say he doesn't agree with that whole thing, blah, blah, blah. At that point, then, go home and break up with her, end of story, and thank them for their hospitality. But acting like he did, he was like a spoiled fucking kid. Some people may disagree with me, that's your business, but that's what I think here. I think he went too far with that whole thing there, but I don't blame him at all if he doesn't want to be with the girlfriend anymore because of A, her, and B, the parents, end of story. But yeah, you guys, so, and a lot of times in these stories I've covered on all 3 channels, the parents will know that the girl or the guy's cheating. And that ain't cool. And there's a fucking story here. But so that's what I think.